Okay, so here we are with, oh, by the way, I'm Ken from the Ken Rigel Group. And today, as usual, we have with us Danielle DeMarco, who is our preferred mortgage specialist. Big rate announcement from the Bank of Canada today. So we figured we would get you on because you can explain it better than anybody we know. So let's start there. Talk to us about the rate cut today and what it means.
Yeah, for sure. So we've seen, I've talked about this before, but US Treasury yields, they're in the, not doing great for lack of a better word. When the US does not great, Canada tends to do better. So what that meant is when the Bank of Canada is looking at are they going to drop rates or not, they're not only looking at the Canadian market and what is inflation doing and what are we doing in Canada, but they're also, looking at what is the US doing. And so I think because the US report just recently came out and it was not as good as they had anticipated, that kind of caused the Bank of Canada to rethink and not pause on the rate drop and actually reduce the rates today by a quarter point.
Cool. So what does that mean in layman's terms for people buying and selling homes? Like, let's put it into practical use. It's, bond yields and all that kind of stuff are cool, but most people are just going, okay, well, is it going to affect my payment or is it not going to affect my payments? So let's go there.
Yeah, for sure. So anybody who already owns a home who's in a variable rate product, you're going to see a little bit of relief. So technically, most of the banks, TD is one of the ones that doesn't, but most of the banks will follow the overnight lending rate cut of a quarter point. What that means is that your prime lending rate should fall by a quarter point. So for anybody in a variable rate, your net interest rate should fall by that quarter point. So you're going to see a
Big.
little bit of relief in your payment.
Yeah.
Not a ton. I did some math this morning on a $500,000 mortgage. You're going to see about a $77 a month decrease in payment. So every dollar and cent counts. It does help current homeowners. As far as people getting into the market, to be honest, because of where house prices are at and where interest rates are at, the majority of people are qualifying on a fixed rate mortgage anyways, because the rates are so much lower. The lower the rate, the lower the stress test qualifying rate. So the more that they can qualify when they're purchasing. So this Bank of Canada rate cut really won't affect any of those home buyers that were being qualified on a fixed rate anyways, because that overnight lending rate cut only affects variable interest rates.
Could it affect mortgage rates as we move ahead in the market, though? Like, is there a chance that those fixed rates will come down a little bit because of this rate cut?
So they're technically not related. Bond yields in Canada are what determine our fixed interest rates. Now, we have been seeing bond yields come down over the last few weeks, which is really nice. We had seen them kind of go up. So we might expect to see some rate relief on the fixed side of things as well, but they're not directly related. Now, having said that, when we see the Bank of Canada drop by a quarter point, that instills confidence in homeowners and home buyers, which then kind of helps stimulate the market because homeowners are that mental process, okay, well, if rates have started to drop, they're going to continue to drop. If they continue to drop, payments will go lower. And that stimulates the market just from the mental aspect of a home buyer.
For sure. And I'm not sure if you have felt this. I know that we have felt in the past few weeks that a little bit of air has come out of the balloon in the market here. I'm not saying that, things are falling. Like, I'm not, because the balloon is still soaring. Trust me. I mean, the sales are still ridiculous. They are down a little bit over last year, where we had a record in May last year. So sales this year in May were down a little bit. But what's interesting is we had so many new listings in May this year that we actually saw an increase in inventory for the first time in years. That we've seen a year-over-year increase in inventory, which is really good. So we've seen a little bit of a pullback on showings at our homes. And I'm not saying that, again, I'm not saying the market is coming down, because it's not. It'd be the difference of home sellers right now are freaking out if they don't sell their house in 48 hours. If it takes 5 days, they're losing their minds. So that's the perspective that we're in. Are you feeling that too in your mortgage world? Have people kind of pulled back just a little bit? Are you feeling that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say I personally am doing a lot of pre-approvals right now. And I think buyers are just, not that they're getting smarter per se, but they're just a little bit more cautious. We've seen a lot of ups, downs, over asking price, a lot of rushed decisions. And I think that they're just kind of slowing down a little bit. But I think part of that had to do with waiting for the Bank of Canada rate cut. The media creates this frenzy around these rate drops. And so then, everybody's just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. And if those rates come down, again, that just stimulates everybody. It creates that mental frenzy. So
Yeah.
I would suspect that as a result of this, we might actually see a little bit of a shift again, maybe not as crazy as it was before, but still a slight shift where there's more home buyers entering the market, and it again makes them think in their mind, okay, well, my payment's going to be less, so now's the time to buy. So we might start to see that change again.
100%. I totally agree with that. We have so many people in our world that have just been waiting and they're like, well, once rates start coming down, then we'll jump into the market. Well, guess what? Rates came down. So if you are a person that has been waiting to buy, this is probably, you're now probably going to see more competition as we head to the summer, which is completely opposite of what we usually see. Usually, first Friday of Stampede and the party's kind of over for the year. It kind of flattens out and plateaus for the summer. The timing of this rate cut may actually change that this year, and we might actually see a fairly competitive summer again. We could. There's just a lot of people on the sidelines waiting for these rate cuts to happen. So it'll be interesting to see how many pre-qualification phone calls you get in the next week. I would love to see the percentage increase compared to what you've had over the past few weeks. We should check on that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we should check on that and offers, because there's been a lot of pre-approvals being done, but I think people were just waiting to kind of pull that trigger until they saw today's rate announcement. So I
Awesome.
think I agree. I think we're going to see a little bit of an increase here over the summer. I think that we kind of saw our lull these last few weeks here instead of at the beginning of July. So
Awesome. If somebody wants to get one of those pre-qualifications and jump into the market now that rates are down, how do they get a hold of you?
yeah, for sure. So they can obviously reach out to you, Ken Rigel, or they can contact me at 403-969-0233 or danielledemarco.com.
Awesome. Always appreciate it. Have a
Well,
great
thanks,
day.
Ken. You too.